Hello everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. Kendall Hailstone here, and today we are going to be continuing our process of growing mushrooms. I'm going to be showing you how to be making grain spawn. Well, showing you the continued step of the process of making grain spawn. In a previous video, I had sterilized some rye grain in jars, and I had inoculated those jars with liquid culture of brown beach liquid culture and also golden oyster liquid culture. And today I'm going to be showing you the mycelium growth that has occurred so far. It's actually looking very good, and I'm going to be shaking the jars to make sure that the mycelium colonizes the grain evenly. And so why don't we go ahead and get into that right now. But first, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and click that subscribe button here for Fire Fungi. Thank you so much, much appreciated. And let's go ahead and get right into the jars of mycelium. So in the previous video, I showed you this proof box here that I've been using to colonize my grain spawn, or colonize my rye grain that will eventually be grain spawn for a bulk substrate. And so let's go ahead and open this up and take a look at it here. I will say I just took a shower, just put on some clean clothes. I'm not going to be worried, I'm not going to be super concerned about being very sterile right here. Typically in a lab type of environment, yes, obviously you want to be very sterile. I'm just going to go about doing things the way I usually do, and yeah, just throwing that out there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get in here. So this is the first jar here. This is the brown beach. So I inoculated this on April 17th. It is April 27th today, and so it's been 10 days. And you can see it's grown, the mycelium has grown down here. You know, that's uncolonized, and then more colonization. You know, it's kind of uncolonized right there. As you recall, when I was inoculating this jar with the liquid culture, I did 1 cc squirts. You know, I'd do 1 cc, I'd turn it, I'd do another cc at the perimeter on the edge of the grain closest to the glass, and then I would do that 3 times. So you 1 cc, another cc, and a third cc, all rotating the jar so that it would have this type of effect. So it'd be growing on the outside, you could see the growth fairly easily. But now I'm going to go ahead and shake this, then we'll look at the golden oyster mycelium. So when shaking your grain in your jars, you want to be hitting it against something soft. Ideally, you don't want to be using the palm of your hand because the jar could break, you could hurt yourself. Then obviously your hard work of your colonized mycelium would all go to waste. So you want to use something soft. I've in the past have used like a thick foam insulation board, and I'll have like a couple layers, then I'll use that and I'll smack the jar against that. You could also use like a rubber tire. I'm gonna go ahead and just use my memory foam bed here and see how this works. Actually, it seems to be working just fine. And you don't want to wait too long to to shake it, because then it's gonna be a lot harder to break up. And we did put gypsum in here to ideally be helping with the breaking apart of the grain. But yeah, let's just go ahead, get this all broken up, and then we'll be in good shape, and then we'll let it finish colonizing and we'll go from there. This is what it looks like after it is done being shaken. So you can see, you can't really see any of the mycelium anymore, but that is completely normal. And we're gonna go ahead and put this back in the proof box. So I just put the brown beach grain spawn back in the proof box. Now I'm gonna take out the golden oyster mycelium and take a look and see how that looks. Alrighty then. So I did notice that it wasn't running quite as fast. It wasn't colonizing the golden oyster mycelium here. Wasn't colonizing the grain quite as fast. As you can see, it's not as strong of a growth. You can still see some mycelium growing here. See some growing, right there. See, yeah, you can see some patches of mycelium growth there. Along there. Along there. Along there. And I'm actually thinking I'm gonna let this go a little bit longer. I take that back. I'm gonna shake it up right now. All right, so I'm going to be shaking this one on my bed just like I did with the other one. Shake, shake, shake. Get it all broken up so it can all be more evenly colonized, so we don't have uneven patches once it's all finished, or once it looks all finished. Because yeah, what you want to avoid is that once it's fully colonized, you don't want there to be like a patch of uncolonized grain, you know, in the middle somewhere that you can't see, you know. And you don't want to let the grain go for too long, because if it over colonizes, if it creates too thick of a mat, it's really hard to break up, and it's really hard to get out of that jar. So that's something, one of the other reasons why you want to shake it up, so that you can just make sure when it does fully colonize, you're pretty confident that it's fully colonized all the way through, and you don't have to worry about letting it wait too far past the point of it just looking fully colonized. Alright, so we have this all broken up. There's like a little patch right here you can still see. I'm not too worried about that, we'll just leave it. And then we're gonna go ahead and put this back in the proof box. Alrighty, so those jars of grain spawn are tucked in back into the proof box. And like I said, it's been 10 days since I first inoculated them with the liquid culture. And I'm pretty happy with how they've turned out so far. It doesn't look like there's any real signs of contamination. I don't know if you remember from the previous video, I'll leave a link to the video so you can check it out in the end cards. So if you haven't seen it, you can go back and check it out. I was a little worried about contamination because the rye grain was a little too wet after it had been sterilized, and I mentioned that I was trying a new method as far as hydrating the grain. I just put the grain and the water in the jar and shook it up, and then sterilized it right from there without letting it, without letting the rye grain soak up any of the water beforehand, just to try that out, because that's one of the methods that's mentioned in one of the books I've read, The Growing Gourmet and Medicinal Mushrooms by Paul Stamets. So anyways, it seems to be working out just fine. Like I said, I thought it was a little too wet, but it seems to be working out just fine. The mycelium is run through it pretty quickly, and it seems to be very strong, and that seems to be a critical key component. So you just want to make sure that you have a strong strain of mycelium to, really, that's gonna be one of your best defenses against contamination, is having really strong offense, having really strong mycelium to just colonize that baby as fast as possible. But then obviously having some other clean, safe procedures to minimize contamination. As I mentioned earlier in my video, I'm not being super sterile. Obviously I'm in my bedroom here, I'm not in a lab type environment. I took a shower, but I didn't use alcohol on my hands. I don't know, I'm just not a fan of making myself particularly sterile, which is whatever, it is what it is. But that's just how I roll. And so that's what I'm choosing to do, and you don't have to do it exactly the way I do it. And who knows, you might have better success than me. But hey, we're just gonna see how this goes, and hey, if it works out, then hey, it works out, great. So anyways, thank you so much for watching this today. Hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Get out of your comfort zone, learn something new, get out there and expand yourself in new and exciting ways. And don't forget to like this video if you feel like it was valuable to you. Share it with your friends if you know any of them that are into mushrooms, or who are wanting to learn how to grow mushrooms for their, on their own. And the next time that we look at this mycelium here will probably be another week or so. I've been pretty diligent about just being really patient and not, opening the proof box too often to, take a peek at it. So it's been 10 days, like I said. I was planning on waiting a week, but I just ended up waiting 10 days. So I'll wait another week, and then I'll see how it looks. And if it looks like it's ready for the next phase, then I'll make another video and we'll just go from there. All right, well, thank you so much. Have a great, lovely day, beautiful people. See you later. Bye.